All right, Shane, we sit here. We move to the halfway point of the season as we are entering week 5 now. And we had a big week of games last week as we had Forreston and Williamsville. You had St. Teresa and Tuscola. You look in conference, you had EPC and Forreston. Chicago Hope had a big game with St. Iggy, and you had Aurora Christian with that Riverside Brookfield out of Chicago. Really big games here across the state. And then, of course, we had some big games here in the NUIC as well.
Yeah, you didn't really think about how the conference games until the scores really started rolling in. Like you mentioned, that Tuscola score with St. Teresa was sure open that not a lot of people necessarily thought would be that bad. Then, like you mentioned, in conference, you had EPC winning against Forreston, which was a little bit of a surprise. Then Polo also knocked off Aquin as well. And then obviously that close game with Carroll and Stockton was a good one as well.
Yeah, that was one of those games that really went back and forth. If I remember correctly, Stockton got out quick to a 6-0 lead, and then West Carroll came back with 2 more scores there to take a 12-6 lead at halftime. Stockton tied it up in the 3rd quarter, and then West Carroll took an 8-minute drive in the 4th quarter and put it away.
Right. And that was one of those games we looked at kind of I mean, that's kind of our gauge, so to speak, when you get a couple of your, well, last year especially was with West Carroll being more talented than they are this year, or the 2 conferences combined. That was one of those games where we kind of figured again this year that could really go either way and improve the future.
Right. And I mean, you take a look at week 5. We've had week 5 circled on the schedule since the beginning of the season. When you look at some of the matchups, we got Milledgeville and Orangeville in our Upstate game of the week. We have the Northwest game of the week featuring EPC and Galena, where both those teams are ranked in state. We have Aquin and Forreston in our crossover matchup. River Ridge and Stockton can grab some intrigue if things can happen to go, as both teams are 2-2 there. And then, I mean, even a game that we aren't going to put a lot of emphasis on, but even AFC South Beloit could be a heck of a matchup there.
Well, that's important for a lot of teams. You know, when you start winning a playoff point. Everybody in the Upstate obviously wants AFC to win. Dakota probably wants AFC to win. You know, that's an extra point. You know, that's a game that is going to be important come playoff time.
Right, exactly. So we got a lot of big games on the docket this week. There's a lot of big games across the state as well. So this is definitely going to be a great week. Granted, we're at that point where you're going to start seeing teams fall out of the playoff outlook as they get that 4th or 5th loss. 5 obviously is guaranteed out, where if you get that 5th win, you're already playoff eligible as well.
Right. And realistically, we didn't think it would be that way for a potential team coming into this week with Du-Pec, but they're going to need a win this week to stay alive.
Yes, exactly. So we have a coach interview coming up with Aquin head coach Broc Kundert, as well as make sure you sign up on our YouTube channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you get notified as soon as all of our videos get posted as well. All right, we have Aquin head coach Broc Kundert here with us as we enter week 5. Broc, you have a big game this week against Forreston in a crossover matchup. You come in, you lost your first game last week against Polo, so this is going to be a big game for you as far as the playoff outlook looking forward. What areas do you think you need to improve on in order to get the Bulldogs into the playoffs?
I think the biggest thing, I mean, coming into the season, we knew we were going to be a young team the entire season coming in. Just those kids getting that experience. Really, I think the biggest thing for us last week, really the second half, we just kind of lost a little bit of our confidence kind of going in. You know, it's just young kids, high school kids, the more confident they get, the better off that they compete. And I think the big thing is we come out and play like we think we can against Forreston, and I think that can just propel us the rest of the way throughout the season, and then just go from there.
Right. Last year, obviously you weren't head coach, but Aquin struggled with Forreston mightily. How do you motivate your kids to rise up to the challenge? Obviously, your schedule has been a little lighter than what it's going to be, so the schedule obviously gets tougher with Forreston. what do you do to overcompensate the thought process there a little bit?
You know, the big thing all week we've been telling the kids, if you don't want to compete on Friday night, then just don't show up. You know, I mean, if we come with the mindset of we're already beat showing up, we are already beat. You know what I mean? So really, the big thing has just been motivating them, getting them to believe that we can compete with anybody, because we really think that we can compete with anybody in the league. So really just getting that mindset of, if you're going to come, you might as well be ready to play. We know it's going to be a physical game, and we have to match their physical play. And then outside of that, yeah, just really just getting them to believe. You know, last year's team was a state championship team for Forreston. You know, Forreston is still a phenomenal football team, but it's not that state championship team anymore. You know what I mean? So the biggest thing is just getting the kids to believe, really feel that they, are able to compete in this football game.
Very good. Now, Broc, it's been well documented that you were previously coaching at Freeport. What has been the biggest adjustment for you coming to Aquin from being a coach at Freeport and a player?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'd say the biggest thing, the biggest struggle, I guess, for me and having to learn is when we were at Freeport, we had our first team defense and our first team offense, and usually it was different kids for the most part, so we could get a pretty good look of a 1 against a 1 and feel pretty good going into this, the matchup with whoever we had. Coming back with now, our 1s are pretty significantly better than our 2s, because most of our 2s are fresh soft kids. So really just figuring out, just a lot of half-line stuff, and really getting our kids to want to compete in individual drills against each other, a starter against a starter. Because in most cases, some of our receivers are our defensive backs, our linebackers are our running backs. So those one-on-one matchups in practice, getting them to want to compete against each other and make each other better, every period of the day. Not so much that team period where it's about timing and doing things like that, but that individual battle, we got to win those. And like we told them coming up to the game, we win our battle every single play, no matter what we do, we're going to come out okay.
And to shift gears a little bit here, last week the conference approved the realignment to be geographically based. Do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, obviously your first year within the conference here, but any ideas on first year or whatever?
Either way, I think it's okay because we don't have to play Lena. But either way, we were okay with it. We talked about it. We said that we were going to, whichever one happened, we were going to be okay with. I think it's a good idea personally. I like the east, west, north, and south, whichever they decide to do. And really, it really is not going to affect us a ton because we're still the smallest school on whatever side we're on, so we're going to need to play the next 3 small schools on that side also. You know what I mean? So a lot of the things that are happening now would have been happening regardless anyway. So whichever way it turns out, I think they were voting on it today. I don't know what happened with it, but whichever way it turns out, we'll just have to adjust and see what happens.
Currently, the vote's still in favor, 7-4 of North-South. Right. So there's still 3 more votes out there to be had, so we'll find out what happens there.
It'll probably be a tie.
Yeah. So, that takes us to one last point. What about districts?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it a lot as a staff. Really, at Freeport, even at Aquin. Districts, I don't think, for us, where we're at right now, it really doesn't change anything. I think a 1A district's going to be Aquin, Galena, Dakota, Forreston. That's going to be one of the districts. I don't think it's really going to. I think the districts part, it wouldn't really change a lot of the conferences, but I think it's something that's good in terms of, our league, where the first 2 weeks of the playoffs is against a completely different district. That's something that NUIC is, last year, Aquin Stockton, round 2. You know what I mean? That's a tough matchup for anybody. And Milledgeville having to play Galena round 2. You don't want to see that teams that have already played each other right away. So I think the district part, that will benefit this league a lot, in my opinion.
Right. I mean, you look at years past, even more so when they got rid of Waters. I mean, that was an NUIC tournament.
Right. So, Broc, we appreciate you coming out tonight. We appreciate your insight. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Polo at Orangeville. We got Polo coming in with a 3-1 record, which is really a surprise. Like we said, they beat Orangeville in week 1. Now they came in, they beat Aquin last week. Warren comes in at 0-4. Last week, Polo beat Aquin 28-20 in what was our Upstate game of the week, and Warren lost to River Ridge 45-14. Last year in this contest, Polo won this game 41-8. I really like what Polo is doing right now. I mean, they're definitely getting into a position that we did not expect them to be in at the beginning of the year. In fact, I picked them to go 2-7 at the end of the year. They're already 3-1. They're sitting really good to get back to that 5-win potential to become playoff eligible, and now they got to push for that 6 wins.
Right. We did the math on it pretty much, and 5-4 is not going to get them in, or at least they probably won't get them in. Kind of like last year, they missed out on that. Yeah, I mean, Polo's really kind of shed some light on some good things that they're doing. We didn't really see it, and this is a group of kids that this is their last year of 11-man football. You got a lot of pride there. Polo's had some good teams in the past, not that far removed from that. On the other side of the ball, you got Warren. Tough year. They're getting ready to head up for their co-op next year, but they're playing some tough games. You got to give them credit there.
Yeah, they definitely are. I mean, you really take a look at the play of Braden Soto and Tucker Mumford and even Brady Webb. I mean, they've really put a lot of stuff together here to get the Marcos going. And on the other side, well, I mean, even Warren, despite the 0-4 record, I mean, that team keeps fighting. They keep coming back. I mean, they had a big loss to River Ridge last week where it was 45-14. But, I mean, you even take a look at the week before when they played Orangeville to a 36-18 score after Orangeville was up 22-0. I mean, Ethan Williams and Garrett Williams and a couple of those kids, man, they're really getting Warren going despite the fact of low numbers, a young team. But, I mean, they can give Polo a fight here.
Right, and I mean, you want to see that because the last few years, Warren's kind of just been one of those show up and win kind of games. What was it? It was week 2, I believe, that was their matchup with Aquin. That was a close game and a half as well. So, I mean, definitely not a team that's just going to roll over and die.
Right, exactly. So,
who's your pick in this game? I like Polo, just too many weapons. Obviously push up Warren to 0-5 and start their playoff chances. Not as much there to begin with, but just kind of sealing the deal this week.
Yeah, I do. I think Polo's going to get to that 4-1 record and put themselves in a good position to set up for that 5th playoff eligible win further down the road. Stockton at River Ridge, Shane. This is a matchup between two teams that are 2-2. Last week, Stockton lost to West Carroll 18-12, while River Ridge beat Warren 45-14 to get their 2nd win of the year. Shane, this was a game last year that Stockton won 34-0. It was one of those where River Ridge took the field. They saw Stockton on the other side, and literally it was over before they started the game.
Right, and I mean that happens sometimes. I mean, to be honest here. But as far as this matchup goes, I mean, how many weeks in a row haven't we talked about the line play for River Ridge? That's going to be a huge factor here. And whether or not Forreston contain on Stockton's side of the ball as well.
Well, and that's really going to be the biggest key for River Ridge is you got to stop Dubuque. You're going to have to get the line play to fill the gaps so that the linebackers can come up and fill the opposite gaps in order to get Dubuque to the shot.
Right. I mean, Dubuque, they lost last week. Dubuque still went as low as 170 yards.
288.
Last week.
Against West Carroll? Yeah, 288.
Okay.
He had 32 carries.
So there, I mean, workhorse.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean that's what Stockton needs to keep doing. But that was one of their downfalls against West Carroll is he was the only one that was producing anything. They were not getting any offensive production outside of what Colin was doing for them, and that bodes big problems for Stockton moving down the road. Sure, can they get to 6 or 7 wins? Absolutely. They're going to be there. They're going to make the playoffs. When you go up and your first round matchup is going to be against a team that is going to be 8-1, like a Princeville could be there, or Dakota potentially could be there, although I don't know what Dakota is right now. You've got a lot of teams there, though, that can definitely give them problems if that's all they can rely on is Dubuque.
Well, and that's just, I mean, we've had a lot of teams come out of the area that rely on the workforce, but they've also had some other pieces to go along with it. I mean, Stockton, I hate to say it, but literally is a one-man show.
They are. And River Ridge combats that. I mean, they have a lot of skilled players. I mean, you got Spear at quarterback, and then you got Chris at running back, and then you throw in the likes of Drew Kloss and Wyatt Potter and Nick Parr. They have that skill set there where they can move the ball. The problem is that they don't have the line play. Just a couple weeks ago when they lost to Galena, they had minus 38 yards rushing because they could not get the snap to the quarterback, and they could not keep the defensive linemen out of the backfield quick enough. That's what's got to change for River Ridge. This is a must-win game for River Ridge, looking at their schedule moving forward, especially if they do want to make the playoffs.
Right. Not to cut you off, but I mean, River Ridge has already seen part of their schedule where they should have been better than what they are already.
Right. I mean, they should be 3-1 right now. That's where we projected them to be at in order for them to get to that playoff mark. Now they're going to have to pull an upset on somebody. This is a game that they need. This could be that game that they can pull that upset on. But in order for that to happen, that line player got to step up for it to happen.
Let's see what happens, but I like Stockton in this game.
I do too. I like the Blackhawks, and they're going to move to 3-2. Our crossover game takes us to South Beloit, where they're going to play host to the AFC Raiders, Shane. AFC comes in this contest with an 0-4 record after they lost to Orangeville last week, 56-0, while South Beloit comes in with a 1-3 record as they picked up their first win of the year over River Valley, 18-0. Last year, these two teams did not play as AFC's crossover or non-conference game last year was with River Valley. However, the last time these two teams met was in 2010, where South Beloit won 56-32 when they were still part of the NUIC.
Yeah. Not a lot to say here. I mean, South Beloit's reputation over the past few years has been that's one of the best. You know, AFC's got a good opportunity to get a win here and also help out find other teams that are looking for a point.
And that's just it. You highlighted it right there. AFC needs to be a winner in this game to get the Upstate teams the playoff points. It gets Dakota another playoff point. That's going to help these teams later down the road, especially your bubble teams. A Polo, maybe a Stockton, maybe a River Ridge, maybe an Orangeville. Those teams are going to need those. I mean, even Dakota could be a bubble team right now. So, I mean, all those teams need this point.
Right, every point counts. And, you know, to touch back a little bit, you know, 2 weeks ago, Polo did their point part on conference. It's time for AFC to do theirs.
Well, and here's one of the things, okay? You take a look, and I mean, granted, we're comparing last year to this year, but I'm a big believer there's not a big change between last year and this year as far as your nucleus core team. South Beloit beat River Valley 18-0. Last year, AFC beat River Valley 60-0. South Beloit already played Stockton and lost 59-0 in a game Stockton could have put 90 points in. I like AFC.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot to say. AFC will get it done.
Today we move to our crossover matchup, which we feature Forreston at Aquin. Forreston comes in this game with a 2-2 mark after they had that big loss in our Northwest game of the week to EPC, 34-8. While Aquin comes in with a 3-1 mark, they too losing in our Upstate game of the week to Polo, 28-20. Take a look at this game last year. Forreston won 50-19. It was a game where they were actually up 50-12 with 20 minutes still left in the game, and then coasted to their win after the running clock was on.
Yeah, that was obviously a big game, and you know that was a different Forreston team than what we're going to see this week. Obviously, a different Aquin team as well. You know, Forreston's kind of in that hit or miss team. They came out the gate slow against Du-Pec, proud Dakota. Came out slow against EPC. I mean, realistically, EPC kind of just lined up and took it right at them.
So last week, in our introduction, we were listing off the 7 things we know. And one of those things that we said we knew was that EPC was Jekyll and Hyde. I'm going to recant that statement right now. I don't think EPC was Jekyll and Hyde. I think EPC, we're used to seeing them get to a fast start and then slowly digress as the year goes on. This year, they're actually building in the opposite direction, the direction that they should be. Forreston is our Jekyll and Hyde.
And that's real true. I mean, hit or miss. I mean, it was evident early that EPC came out with the energy and Forreston didn't. And, you know, EPC was able to do a lot of things pretty good against Forreston. You know, their emphasis was to shut down the outside run against Forreston. You know, EPC's corners are pretty physical, and, you know, Forreston didn't really match that well. Forreston forced everything inside, and at that point, they had nothing going on.
Well, you know, you take a look, too, at the Forreston Lena matchup, and Forreston came out flat against Lena Winslow as well in that Week 2 game. But in the second half, they started to bring it. Right. Now, that's not the same Forreston team that also brought it in the very next week against Dakota that showed up in Forreston and got drilled by EPC.
Right. So, I mean, realistically, for me, Forreston needs to put a fourth quarter game together, like they did against Dakota. If they do that, they should be okay in this matchup. Now, Aquin is also going to need to do some things better than what they did last year, better than what they did last week. Forreston is vulnerable to the passing game, like many teams are in the conference.
Right. And, I mean, as far as what Aquin needs to do different, I mean, one of the things that was a huge difference is I was able to catch the fourth quarter of Forreston EPC, so we were able to see the difference between two sides of the conference on the same night. And as soon as we arrived at Forreston, you could hear the difference. And I'm talking the physicality of the game between the two sides of the conference. Now, what Aquin did not do against Polo, which I really feel cost them the game, was their line play was not strong enough. They could not keep Polo out of the backfield. Will Gustafson had a hard time just finding time to get rid of the ball or find room to run. And when he did, it was a big play. But if he wasn't scrambling for his life, and actually had some time to make reads instead of just ducking and running, Aquin could have beat Polo.
Right, and I mean, they are going to need strong linemen. If they struggle with Polo, they're going to struggle with Forreston. Be honest with you.
Well, and that's the sad part of what this contest represents, right? Aquin is in a rebuild year. They're exactly where we thought that they would be. Honestly, I had them at 4-0 going into this game in my predictions. They lose to Polo, they're 3-1. But if they keep continuing to play the way they have with the slow starts, and then boom, come out in the second half, Forreston's already going to have this game over by halftime.
Yeah. For that reason alone, and coming off their loss to UPC, I like Forreston on the road in this game.
I do too. Shane, we're switching over to the northwest side of the conference where we have East Dubuque at Amboy. Shane, East Dubuque comes in with a 1-3 record. Amboy comes in with a 2-2 mark. Last week, East Dubuque lost to Dakota 35-29 in a game that we both thought would be close, like it was, whereas Amboy beat Du-Pec 24-6. Last year in this game, Amboy won 33-7 in a matchup that we honestly thought at that time East Dubuque was better equipped to take on Amboy than what the final score is.
Right. You know, Amboy's kind of feeling that little spirit going forward here. I mean, they're sitting at 2-2. They got a winnable game against East Dubuque. Some people are already looking forward to that Amboy-Dakota matchup down the road as a potential winnable game as well.
Very well could be.
Right. I mean, it's just a team that hasn't had a lot of success since going up from the Three Rivers. And then obviously on the other side of the ball, East Dubuque, not exactly where they thought they'd be in the season, but they're already doing better than what we thought they'd be. So, a lot of interesting aspects in this game.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, East Dubuque definitely, they're out fighting. I mean, they're doing what they can with what they have. They have the athletes. There's no doubt about that. They're smaller on the line, so that creates line matchup issues. But, I mean, you sit there and you spread it out a little bit, and you give yourself an opportunity, and that's what East Dubuque's good at. I mean, when you have a quarterback like Broc, and then you have the receivers, especially a big kid like Lane Boyer, it gives you those opportunities to spread the ball around, make open gaps, and get people open in the green and make things happen.
Right. I mean, that's not something that East Dubuque's really seen a lot of lately. Last week they had a lot of success. Obviously, capitalized on, was it 4 turnovers by Dakota, I believe it was. For whatever reason, those two teams seem to play each other rather close.
Well, and here lately it has been a close game. And, I mean, let's take a look at Amboy. I mean, Amboy, the last couple of years, has not had a passing game. They've struggled to get a running game going. They've lost every crossover matchup that they've played since they've been in the NUIC. But they played tough against some teams that you wouldn't think. West Carroll, Dakota a couple of years ago. Now they're in a spot where they can get to 3-2 for the first time since they've been in the NUIC.
Right. I mean, that's huge. I mean, not only for this year, but for a program moving forward, as we don't really know the certainty of what they're going to be moving forward. But, you know, it gives the kids a chance to something different. I mean, a couple of years ago, we saw Amboy in person. I was like, holy cow, these kids have, you know, pretty good sized kids. What's going on here?
Right, exactly. And I mean, now they have the ability to throw the ball with Mitchell McLaughlin at quarterback. And then you got some other kids out there that they can make things happen. And when you do that, again, you give yourself the opportunity to win. They figured out that they can't go ground and pound against these teams because they're just not going to get it done. So Coach Jones has changed some things. He's got the personnel now that they can throw the ball, and look, they're having success with it. I expect them to have success in this game. I like the Clippers. I agree. Du-Pec at Dakota. Du-Pec comes in with an 0-4 record. Shane, obviously not the start that the Rivermen thought that they would have. Kind of in line where we thought that they would be. Dakota off to a 3-1 start. Another team that we thought would be 4-0 at this point. However, they had that disappointing loss in week 3 to Forreston. Last week, Du-Pec lost to Amboy 24-6, while Dakota beat East Dubuque 35-29. This matchup last year, Dakota won 45-6. Here's one of those things that I don't know about Dakota right now. Because if you take a look at what Dakota has done to this point, they are a perfect mirror of what they were last year. That game against East Dubuque, they could not stop the pass. That was evident in the score and the results that happened with it. They're having difficult with the line play, so against the power teams, they're having problems stopping the run. Now they face a Du-Pec team that is more improved than their own Fort Mark. However, they're having problems moving the ball.
Yeah. I mean, I forget who it was asked us, well, do we have a chance against Amboy? Yeah, they move the ball, but the problem is Du-Pec hasn't moved the ball. They haven't found the end zone. They played close against Forreston in the first half. An injury sucks the life out of the field at halftime there. That game's changed. Lost was 6-0 against West Carroll. And then
a game they dominated, actually.
Right. I mean, you can only play hard and good and keep your spirits up for so long. At some point, you have to get a win, or that kind of starts to diminish a little bit. Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of what's going on here, because you look at the last 2 weeks, EPC throttled them. I mean, that was a game that we kind of circled because we didn't know what EPC was. Like, hey, can Du-Pec kind of squeak one off here?
Well, we weren't the only ones. Right. There's a lot of people who thought that.
And then, you know, Amboy just kind of does the, you know, the chuck and run, and, you know, they take care of Du-Pec no problem. So, it doesn't really get easier for Du-Pec this week.
No, it does not. And, I mean, in this game, on paper, Dakota should sit back and cruise. The problem is they don't have the mental toughness right now that I've seen to be able to make that happen.
Well, and it gets even harder when you completely reinstall a new offense. in the last 2 weeks. But if there was a time to do it, it's these next 4 games where you have Du-Pec, you have Amboy, you have West Carroll, and I don't even remember East Dubuque last week. So, I mean, if there was a time to implement a new offense for Dakota, that was the time to do it.
Well, and that's just it. So, I mean, you got Dakota coming forward, and you take a look at what they have to do now, and that is win, because weeks 8 and 9, they have EPC and Lena Winslow to end the regular season, and 5 wins may not get the Indians in the playoffs.
Well, that's just, I mean, you look at AFC, they, that's your crossover, and they're going to give you 1 point at best, maybe. So, I mean, they had to do something. I mean, we talked to Coach Freed, and he said, I got no problems grounding and pounding, going 6-3 and getting the playoffs. But the goal is to beat these teams and actually do something in the playoffs. So I don't blame them for re-implementing the spread offense.
Well, I mean, Dakota's one of those teams, you got the big linemen. You know they're strong. I mean, they're all 1,000-pound club members. But where is that physicality coming forth in the game on the line? You got to bring it. If you don't bring it, you're not going to win, period. And that's the problem with Dakota right now. They need to find their identity, and they better find it in a hurry, or they're not going to be making the show come October 19th.
Right. But as far as this game, I like Dakota at home. Should be a cruisable win, but we'll see.
Yes, I do like Dakota in this matchup. I'm not so certain that it's going to be 45-6 like it was last year.
Another game that also is still going.
Yeah, and I think that you're going to see that this week. But the Indians are my pick to win. West Carroll at Galena. We have West Carroll coming in with a 2-2 mark after they beat Stockton last week 18-12, while Galena comes in with a 1-3 mark after they got throttled by Lena Winslow 42-7. Last year, West Carroll won this game 46-0. Shane, this is a game I do not see that kind of spread taking place this year.
No, I mean, that's a different West Carroll team. This is a different Galena team. Galena's numbers haven't really reflected that so much. But talking to everybody that's played Galena, they have. And West Carroll's obviously digressed a little bit, but I mean, we knew that was going to happen to some level. Maybe not to the level it has, but I mean, we knew that was kind of coming.
Yeah, I mean, we knew with West Carroll, with how many kids that they graduated, something was going to happen.
Right.
The talent they still have is there. They're still a very physical team. They just don't have the size. I mean, when you're taking a 160-pound physical kid against a 240-pound kid who's just as physical, it doesn't take much to know who's going to win that battle.
Right, and I mean, that's really been obvious. I mean, Lena Winslow kind of destroyed West Carroll's theory on what they wanted to do in week 1. It hasn't really gotten better. West Carroll is literally 6 points away from being 1-3 at this point, with tough games ahead of them that are going to allow them in the playoffs. They're going to be lucky to get there as it is.
Well, and that's just it. I think me and you were talking here earlier this week that, West Carroll very well could be 4-5 at the end of the season.
Right.
And they were a team that we saw get to 5-4. But, I mean, is it still possible? Yes, because they did get the win against Stockton last week, a game that me and you both had Stockton picked to win. But, I mean, that goes to show you what Lightson has done. He's put a lot of fight in the West Carroll company.
Right. I mean, and that's one of those games, we touched in the introduction, this is kind of a toss-up game. You get the history of those programs here of late. That's a toss-up. West Carroll came over the top of it, though. I mean, obviously, it helps out the Northwest side tremendously with an extra playoff point. And, it wasn't as big of a spread as what we thought because we just want to pick Stockton. That's the way it goes sometimes.
It is. I mean, and that was a big, crucial win for West Carroll because if they can get a win this week, they're 3-2. They still set themselves up with the opportunity to get that 4th and 5th win down the road. They need to keep improving. I don't expect anything less from a Coach Lightson coach team.
Right.
But you do have Galena, and Galena has, like you said, they've improved. They're still not where we think that they would be. We had them at 4-5 at the start of the season. They're not going to get there. No. But they're still better than what they have been the last couple of years. and they can throw the ball around. Their problem, too, is going to come on the line. I think West Carroll is going to have the advantage.
Right. I mean, if you watched all our videos this year, some of you probably get tired of hearing Galena is a year away. I mean, that's really been obvious at this point. I mean, you can only improve so much, but the harder losses they played, Galena was terrible. I mean, Dakota just beat them up in week 1. So, I mean, this is a team that went towards next year will obviously improve, but you know, for this game here, I just like West Carroll.
I do too. I think West Carroll's got the advantage in this game, and they're going to make it happen just like they did against Stockton last week. Our Upstate game of the week takes us back to Orangeville, where we have the Broncos taking on the Milledgeville Missiles. Milledgeville comes in this game perfect at 4-0, exactly where we expected them to be. Orangeville comes in with the 3-1 mark. We thought that this game they would be perfect 4-0 as well going into this matchup, but they're not. However, last week they did beat AFC 56-0, while Milledgeville beat Farmer City Blue Ridge 61-0. And if you take a look at this game last year, we had this as our Upstate game of the week, where Milledgeville won 30-28. A game in which Milledgeville dominated the majority of that game until the fourth quarter, when Austin Guy took over to bring him back for that 2-point loss.
Right. And I mean, you know, you talk about them being 3-1. There you go with Polo, you know, kind of sneaking in and getting the win. For this game, for me, it's going to come down not necessarily on everything before. I mean, we talked about Orangeville kind of getting off to a little bit of a slow start here. But you can look at the reverse side of that with Milledgeville. I mean, that game with Stockton, I mean, that looked great on paper, but it wasn't really what it turned out to be.
No, it wasn't. I mean, you take a look at that. I mean, it wasn't. Okay, so here's part of that.
Points are points, but it was not a traditional just line up and go at them, blow them out.
Well, and here's why. Stockton had a good game plan. Stockton chewed up a lot of clock during that game. Milledgeville was just such a quick-hitting team that they made it happen, whether it be special teams or the long runs by Boyer. And that's where Orangeville's going to need to focus on. You got to stop Carson Boyer. You cannot let him get outside because, I'm sorry, but the Broncos have nobody on their team fast enough to catch him once he gets to the sideline.
Well, that's just it. I mean, you got to contain. And you know, something we haven't really talked about much. I mean, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I don't think anybody outside of Orangeville knows that they're 3-1 right now. I mean, they're really not getting the recognition. And I think a lot of that falls back on their performance with Polo. But, I mean, this is an awesome opportunity if they can play with Milledgeville and potentially beat them for, you know, start giving them that recognition that they deserve.
Well, and here's one of the things I've talked with Coach Doyle. If you stay home and play responsible defense, and you're not chasing the play, and by chasing, I'm talking about guys going from A-gap responsibility going all the way out to D-gap. Stay in your A-gap. Contain that. If you can contain that, then you have the opportunity to stop Milledgeville, because they're going to do a lot of cutbacks. They're going to do a lot of leads. They're going to do dives. They're going to do counter traps. And it's the counter trap that's going to kill them if they don't stay home and play gap responsibility.
Right. I mean, it's all about trusting each other and holding each other accountable. I mean, you got to stay in your own lane.
Right, exactly. You got to trust your team. If you don't trust the guy next to you, what good are you as a team and whole?
Exactly.
So, for Orangeville, they're going to have to take the advantage because, I mean, Jack Munz is a decent quarterback. He's got a good arm, but he hasn't really thrown the ball that much, and to be honest, he's about a 50% completion rate right now.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to step up.
Yes. So Orangeville's going to have to attack the ball. They got to keep Carson Boyer from getting to the outside. Now, here's the other problem. You got Cade Guslov and Nate Rand as a complimentary back. So one of them's going to be taking handoffs up the middle. A fake's going to be going outside, and that's where it becomes important to stay home until you can find the ball. Because one thing Milledgeville is good at is hiding the ball.
Right. And as soon as, you know, that you suck everybody in. As soon as you get one play where someone's not staying home, it's going to go to the outside and it's going to be gone.
Right. Now, on the other side of the ball, for Orangeville, they got to do more than just do a rollout pass to Brayton Schofield.
Right.
I'm sorry, but it's becoming predictable once again, and we've talked about that in the past. When Guy was at quarterback, how predictable they were. Then last year, week 7, they move him to running back, and boom, against Hiawatha, things opened up, and they became a totally different team. Carter Kleckler is a good quarterback, but he's doing exactly what we saw Guy do just a year ago. He's rolling out to the right, and his one target is Schofield. I'm sorry, but they need more performance out of that. Now, here's the thing. On the flip side, they need to get their running game going. They're going to have to pound road a ball, and then they're going to have to get big-time – they're going to have to get plays from Brandon Race, and they're going to have to get Dalton Lowe, who should be back in the backfield this week. They're going to have to get those guys going. And those guys are going to have to come, and they're going to have to play a more physical-style game for the Broncos to have a chance to win.
Right. And I mean, something we haven't touched on. A game of this magnitude, you're going to want to have ball control. I mean, you're going to want to use the clock to your advantage because, Milledgeville is that big home run team. So you're going to want to drain the clock as much as you can when you have the ball. Clock moving.
Right. Now, here's one of the other things, too. And I mean, we stated it last week, so I'm not going to drill it in this week. But Orangeville has to have all 11 guys finishing plays every single play. Because that is where... That's what separates the good teams from the great teams.
Right.
You can be good on a couple players making plays for you all the time. You're great when you have all 11 guys staying engaged with the play until the whistle blows. That's the difference. Milledgeville's going to bring that. Orangeville's got to match it.
Right.
And this is going to be a hell of a game. And gosh, man, good thing it's on Saturday. 11 o'clock start.
Weird start time.
But Milledgeville's been my team to pick all year. I'm going with the Missiles.
Yeah, I got to take the Missiles as well. Hard to get to 9-0 if you don't win here.
Yep. Shane, we move to our Northwest game of the week where we have the number 6 ranked EPC Wildcats taking on the number 1 ranked Lena Winslow Panthers. Both teams come in with 4-0 records after EPC beat Forreston 34-8 last week in a game that a lot of people thought Forreston would have won. And Lena Winslow walked through Galena 42-7, a game that they were up 42-0 at halftime, and they come out in the second half, and somehow Galena got a touchdown out of it.
Yeah, pretty much been cruise control for Lena Winslow to this point. Haven't been challenged outside of a half against Forreston. A lot of people kind of saw that as a Lena weakness. We kind of turned it more towards a slow, kind of a lackadaisical effort in the second half, so to speak, kind of forward. Yeah. Hopefully, for the sake of the conference, that changes this week. If EPC doesn't touch Lena Winslow, you might as well put them at 9-0 heading into the playoffs.
No, I agree. I mean, you take a look at this matchup last year, Lena Winslow won 34-6, but if you just go back a year before that, when Lena Winslow came into the season ranked number 1 in state, and it was EPC that came out with a surprising 28-14 win, and basically shut Lena Winslow's run game down. This game's got a lot riding on it. I mean, you take a look over the last 10 years even, in the regular season, these two teams are head-to-head, five wins apiece. But the 2008 playoffs, Lena Winslow avenged their regular season loss against EPC, winning that game 35-6. So over the last 10 seasons, Lena Winslow's got the edge by 6-5.
I mean, pretty close matchup. And the only thing that would be more fitting to this game is if it was played at Pearl City, right? Where EPC just flat out doesn't lose.
Yeah, except for last year, the Lena Winslow.
Right. So, I mean, but yeah, to touch back a little bit here, last week EPC really came out in guns blazing. Forreston had no answer to really anything they did, and EPC kind of took Forreston's run game and for all intents and purposes, shut it down. I mean, the leading rusher for Forreston in the game, what was it, 36 or 37 yards?
Yep.
I mean, you'll take that any day.
Right, exactly. And, I mean, you take a look at what Lena Winslow and Forreston did back 2 weeks prior to that. In week 2, I mean, Lena Winslow jumped out to a 29-0 lead. Forreston scores a touchdown at the end of the second quarter on a luck pass play. I mean, it was a pass play that really was a broken pass play that, you know, Color was able to get the pass off. The receiver caught the ball and ran in for a touchdown. And that made it 29 to 6 or 8. Yeah, 8. 29 to 8. And then you get to the second half, and like you said, it was Lena Winslow being very lackadaisical to start that second half. And here's the problem I have with that. You take a look at Lena Winslow last year, they only had 3 games where they actually had to play 4 quarters. Forreston, Tuscola. And if you take a look closely at those games, yes, Lena Winslow played tough and hard in the first half of every one of those games. In the second half of every one of those games, they got dominated. Dominated to the point that they were lucky to have won the state title.
They basically, but they basically tried to hand that title to Tuscola, and Tuscola found a way not to accept it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got a coaching staff there, and, you know, whatever.
But the point is, I mean, this is a team. They're not cocky, but they know they're good. And how many times have we seen over the years that can be a problem for some teams?
Right. I mean, this is one of those games where they're going to have to come out, they're going to have to go full throttle, because I guarantee you, EPC knows they're the underdog. And they're going to come out with that chip on the shoulder, just like they did last week against Forreston. I tell you what, and people can sit here and say whatever they want, but EPC was not very accepting of McNutt at the start of the season, at least from the rumors that we kept hearing. Now they're open arms,
Fan club.
basically, and they're jumping on his side of the table now. Here's the thing. McNutt was doing these things that Warren, when he was up there the last 3 years, he just didn't have the talent around him to make it happen. Now he's got that talent around him. From what I can see, they're getting better every week. They're learning his system. They're responding to it, and they want to win.
Right. I mean, that's kind of important. You know, something we haven't really touched on. The way that Jesse is commanding the offense at quarterback is pretty impressive to watch. I mean, there's no doubt who the leader is on that.
Well, and that's just one of those things. I mean, you take a look at Braden Spargessi 2 years ago. It was against Forreston in week 7 where he got the start because they had moved Haverland to tight end.
Where it should have been.
And, I mean, right. And he did some things, but that was also at the same time where we were like, well, EPC is looking at what they have coming up. And we stated back then in 2016, EPC needs to focus on what they did to get them where they're at, to this 7-1 record, right? Or 6-1 record at the time, sorry, because that was a week 7 matchup. But they had to focus on what they were doing to get them there. They couldn't be focusing on what they had coming up for next year. Now, granted, I'm pretty sure that move was because they wanted to offset Forreston's physicality. I mean, Forreston was just dominant that year. Nobody was stopping him. However, you know, you take a look at what Braden grew into even last year, and I mean, he really grew a lot last year, although EPC had a setback, as expected. But now they're seniors, and I mean, it seems like we've been talking about this class forever, but they're here. They're seniors, they're driven, they're athletic, they're talented, and now they're putting it all together.
Right. You know, for me, it's going to kind of come down to EPC defense. I mean, yeah, EPC should have some success throwing the ball against Lena Winslow. I mean, that's something that's been widely marked as Lena's downfalls. Their inexperienced secondary. EPC's going to have to find a way. I mean, yeah, you can shut down Forreston on the outside, but look at what Isaiah Bruce is doing. I mean, last week, 6 carries, 209 yards. I mean, do the math. That's a lot.
Yeah, and here's the thing, too, okay? So in this matchup, Lena Winslow's still got that tremendous defensive front. EPC is going to have a hard time running the ball. I agree. They're going to have to use this spread that Macbeth's got them in, and they're going to have to throw the ball. And they're going to have to be consistent with it. Because if they get sporadic in it, they're going to have a long night.
Well, I mean, that's why the first possession for both teams is so critical. I mean, if EPC can jump out to the lead, you can settle into that game plan. But if Lena Winslow puts up a quick score or two, then your hands are kind of tied as to what you're going to want to do. EPC's going to want to stay balanced if they can.
I like the Panthers in this game.
I do too.
Shane, we're moving to our Player of the Week segment now, where we have 2 very rewarding contestants here. Our first one was Isaiah Bruce, as he put up 6 carries for 209 yards, as we just mentioned in our Northwest Game of the Week preview. 6 carries, 209 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 42-7 win over Galena.
I don't have anything to say. I mean, what's that, 34 yards of carry, roughly?
It's a lot, yes.
It's a lot. Yeah, when the math is too high for the yards per carry, I mean, you're doing something right. I mean, and the thing that's so great about him is that they haven't even really made all the carries that he would give in a tight game.
Oh, definitely. On the other side, we have Jaden Kemple, who ran the ball 19 times for 107 yards and 3 touchdowns in a big win for EPC as they beat Forreston 34-8.
Right, I mean, he did some great things. Anytime that it looked like Forreston was going to have him bottled up, he kind of just scored on through there. You know, hard to bring down.
Yeah, he is. And for that, both these guys are rewarded with our Player of the Week. Stop in at Coach's to pick up your free T-shirt, your pizza voucher, and your medallion. Thanks to our sponsors of Coach's and Hometown Trophies for that as well. Get out to the games this week. Should be a great week. As always, root for the NUIC.